Hello there. I want to have a little chat to you about crowdfunding and not just a sales pitch for my crowdfunding project that's on at the moment. It is linked in my bio, and if you want to go check it out, that's awesome. And if you don't, also awesome. And I promise this is not going to be a channel where I do this every single day. But it is something to do with what I've learned in the process of setting this up. And that's because it's really kind of daunting. There's a lot of work that goes into it, but we also have a creative sector that's looking at 3 years at least down the barrel of a government that doesn't want to fund them or doesn't know what they actually do and how they work. And that is really problematic. Now, as I mentioned yesterday, two of the three parties that are looking at making the next government literally had no policy on the creative sector. It was probably a bit of a red flag that the National Party spokesperson for it was Simon O'Connor, a man famously known for his unwavering belief that something as simple as women having the right to choose what to do with their body was wrong. I'm sure he was a great spokesperson for an industry known for creative output. But the ACT party that does have a policy in place is really reductive, and it includes removing people from within those organizations designed to help people in the creative sector. And as we go into less funding being available, we're going to see an increase in something like crowdsourcing as a way for the creative sector and people within it to be able to do what they do. And what they do is really important. The creative sector is kind of the soul of the country in a way. It helps us process what's going on. It helps us deal with our past in unique ways. It helps us create a cultural identity. And it can also help hold power to account when they do something wrong. And suddenly the funds not being there and the resources not being there to support people in doing what they need to do, that becomes a real bit of a vacuum. And something like crowdfunding can be a way to fix that in a small way. But in the last 24 hours, I've had 41 emails come through from setting up my crowdfunding campaign from organizations who would like me to pay them to use their influence, and that's where the risk is here. I have no intention of using any of them, but they all start with something very flattering and look, here's how I can help you, and it'll only be a small fee. And that kind of predatory behavior, getting in behind a sector that's so important for us as a people and for our cultural identity, is something that we should be really concerned about. And the lack of policies from government, as well as policies that will reduce that support, is setting people up to fail and to be sucked into this kind of predatory behavior. That's really concerning. And I don't think it's something that any of the parties have thought about long term. I mean, they didn't actually think about policies to begin with. So yeah, they definitely haven't thought about it long term. If you're somebody who works in the creative sector or you're considering working in the creative sector, there should be some safeguards that you should put in place just to look after yourself going forward if something like crowdfunding is going to end up being an option for you. There will be people out there who know crowdfunding really well and who have had a great amount of experience with it. Reach out to them, do a bunch of research. But most importantly, over the next few years, the creative sector is going to have to look out for each other in ways that they haven't had to for a very long time. Those support structures between people in the creative sector is going to be what gets people through. Hopefully, because the last thing that we want is a John Key era style exodus of the creative sector going overseas, because we need creatives to help us hold power to account and to help us define who we are.